Directed by Lee Scott, who also wrote the script based on the novella from H.P. Lovecraft. We are talking the 2008 version of the Dunwich Horror. Of course, this had previously been adapted in 1970, that one starring Dean Stockwell. But wait, this one stars Dean Stockwell as well, albeit in a different role. You've also got H.P. Lovecraft movie actor extraordinaire Jeffrey Combs in this. So the story, the setup is this. We have a woman involved in some type of occult, giving birth to twins, one of which is almost human, you might say. The other is a horrific creature. And the creature has been born to build up strength in its size so it can hold open the doors to another dimension, allowing the elder gods to come through. And the brother, who is 10 years old in a flash forward, but played by Jeffrey Combs as a 40-year-old man. Yes, it does explain it, sort of. And he is a kind of a simpleton who is trying to do the bidding of, his family ultimately, feed his brother, and fulfill this prophecy. At the same time, you have a group of archaeologists, I suppose, trying to uncover the secrets behind the Necronomicon and put a stop to this. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So this is very much a B movie. I believe it was made for TV. And as such, obviously, the budget is kind of quite low. And it plays very much like a schlocky, I would say almost Indiana Jones-like kind of paranormal adventure. Not really a scary movie. Somewhat fun and very goofy, you might say. Let's talk about what I think works. It's got a reasonable cast here. Obviously, Dean Stockwell, again, coming back to the Dunwich movies. Again, he's kind of playing now an older professor. And I've got to say, I like Dean Stockwell. I thought he's pretty good here. And obviously, Jeffrey Combs, again, he loves these H.P. Lovecraft movies, apparently. And he's playing quite a fun character, probably one of the most famous character in this story, who is an adult body, but kind of the mind of a 10-year-old who is trying to bring about this prophecy, so to speak. You've also got a couple of other kind of recognisable faces here, but so it's a reasonable cast. The movie goes at quite a fast pace. There's a lot kind of going on, kind of building up mythology, and there's kind of ties to various other kind of H.P. Lovecraft, subject matter as well. So it tries to kind of be somewhat kind of far-reaching. The movie's got a lot of going on, and it has more of an adventure vibe. As I say, almost an Indiana Jones film with our archaeologists going on this kind of mission to try and retrieve this missing page from the Necronomicon, which may be the key to closing this kind of portal and stuff. So it has a sort of a adventure feel to it to a large degree. I wouldn't say this movie is really ever scary necessarily. There's a couple of okay moments that are, that are kind of quite fun, but maybe no one other than maybe younger people would find this movie particularly kind of scary in any way. But there are some kind of fun sort of set pieces, and our characters, I sort of quite likeable, I have to say. I've seen some criticism for Jeffrey Combs in this movie, saying it's basically a half-assed performance. I disagree. I actually think he's quite fun in this film, to be honest with you, playing much more of a kind of a brute, almost, to a degree, which is a little bit different for Jeffrey Combs here. So I kind of quite liked him. And, it's he has an interesting sort of backstory. So that's I actually quite like. Obviously, this is all based on Lovecraft. There are elements here that I think are a little bit more faithful to the original novella compared to the 1970s version. Other elements, like we have this kind of more of love story, I guess, between our two main sort of archaeologist protagonists, which veers a little bit further away from the source material. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but it definitely feels like a schlocky movie. There's plenty of kind of like monsters and kind of creature effects here. The VFX are somewhat kind of rudimentary, but it ends up being sort of quite fun. If you don't mind kind of the low budget sort of film. Again, we have to bear in mind this is a low budget made for TV movie, so there is a degree of goofy fun to be had with this, albeit obviously H.P. Lovecraft movies or adaptations always seem to be relatively low budget films, you know, and I think this makes this movie quite hokey. It's a particularly sort of goofy movie to some degree, I have to say, with even though some fun characters, they do seem a little cartoonish. I think some of the kind of the adventures that our protagonist couple go on, which is this kind of has this kind of romantic sort of tension between it. Again, it almost seems like a kind of a 90s kind of nightmare style video game sort of situation here. The VFX here have dated horribly, and I don't imagine they looked particularly strong in 2008, if I'm honest. A big reliance on kind of CGI here. There is some degree of kind of practical effects which look admittedly a little better, but I think the real noticeable kind of like low budget VFX here I think may be too much for some. I think the movie, its running time isn't a particularly long film, but I think it sort of shortchanges certain aspects of the story and overemphasises others, like again trying to have this build up this kind of relationship between these two characters which have had a previous relationship. I gotta say, I mean, I didn't particularly feel the chemistry between them. It seemed a little artificial to me. And I think the character of Wheatley, played by Jeffrey Combs, would have been, you know, could have been, had a little bit more to him, ultimately. It's a fun, schlocky movie. Obviously, this is definitely not the defining H.P. Lovecraft adaptation here. And obviously, I would suspect most people will probably prefer the 1970s version, even though, you know, it's significantly different. But, you know, for a sort of a silly movie, much more of a kind of a B-movie monster film than anything else, it has an element of fun, goofiness, silliness, but it's probably a below average film overall. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.